Hey, good morning, Chris. For those of you that are on a mobile, uh, can you let me know if you now see a guest button? It says here I can add you now. So it looks like it's available on mobile. Hey, Chris, I just sent you a request. Let me know if you're able to join. Oh, looks like Caitlin wants to join. Let's go ahead and bring her on and see if this works. Interesting. So it says that, Chris, can you look and see if you can do hit like a, there you go. Hey, good morning, Chris.
How's it going? Why is my stuff all?
Is it forcing you to be horizontal?
It's on some weird stuff. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Hey, Caitlin, can you check to see if perhaps you can, uh, you have to hit like an additional accept button? It says I can add up to three people. Chris, while we wait, if you want, for people who don't know you, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself. I had the pleasure of working with Chris when I was a business agent. Um, he actually, I was at the Shopsford training he was at, and I mean, right away I could tell you were going to do good. So I don't know if you just want to give an introduction to yourself. And Caleb, I don't know what's going on, man. You keep joining and leaving and joining and leaving. Yeah,
Yeah, sure. I'll go ahead.
cool.
My name is Chris. Been with the company for about almost 5 years. I'm an ETR out of Humber Base. Um, this is actually my first union represented job, but um, I'm someone who has always been a firm believer in what the possibilities are for what a union can do, what they've done for the workers, and not just here but all over the years. And um, my my goal has been since I was able to actually get a union represented job was to try to make the union as strong as I know that they can be. Um, I'm as active as I can be at my base trying to get the members a little bit more engaged, especially based on things that I've heard from them in the past about, like, oh, the union doesn't do this or the union doesn't do that. And, my thing has always been, well, the union is only as strong as we make it. So,
Right.
you know, that's kind of been my goal. And once I've, kind of figured out how to get more involved, I've just at every turn I've been trying to get more and more in there. So
So you're running for San Gabriel Valley, which currently is the region officer spot held by Erjan Ali. Um,
mm.
have you worked with him a lot, or?
Yeah, I mean, I've had the pleasure of, having several things with him, some of it due to the the supervision at my base, pretty much not liking that I am a more active shop steward than they've had to deal with in the past. You know, some of the things that, I mean, it kind of goes with the territory sometimes. If you kind of kick the hornet's nest, you know, they'll try to come after you. But you know, he's been there and been on my side, you know, through all of the stuff that I've had to go through with supervision, and always been there to give me, you know, answer my questions or give me any kind of pointers of, hey, you know, if they're doing this in an investigatory, this is what you can do. And you know, he's been really good regional, and you know, I'm glad to see that he's taken, you know, trying to take a bigger role too, because I think that he'd be an asset up there too as well.
So if you win the office of San Gabriel Valley, what are you going to do more than you do currently to try and foster engagement or keep people informed?
I mean, I think that one thing that people need to see in general is that, you know, the union's not just there to like only answer questions here and there when somebody kind of like pulls them aside. You know, I think that being able to, you know, living in the area and working in the area gives me the opportunity to come across more of the members just in the day-to-day things, like, you know, whenever there's an outage or something like that, you know, we all kind of band together, and you know, you wind up, if you're Alhambra base, you wind up Pasadena, you know, Glendale, all over, and just kind of, you know, getting to meet people that you don't normally run into on your day to day, and just kind of, you know, showing them that, like, look, you know, the union doesn't have to just be, you know, a message board, you know, a random visit from the union officers, you know, whenever
when you say random
need
visit,
something.
do you mean that you'll actually announce when you're going to show up for base visits, or do you?
I would like to try to maybe set up something with the regionals of San Gabriel Valley to just, you know, kind of work with them. I mean, Erjan was really good about that too, like saying like, hey, you know, I'm coming for a base visit. Will you be around? You know, is there any way you can come to the base and meet and kind of like meet with the guys? So I think I'd like to, I think that was a really good plan of his, and I really like to continue that, of, you know, kind of liaise with the other shop stewards, and not just to do base visits, but also, you know, for just kind of like check the temperature of like what's going on there, like what issues they have, and kind of see what we can do as shop stewards to try to, you know, make each base a better place for all the members, and
That's right.
you know, ensure that
Isn't Erjan one of the officers that's holding shop steward calls?
he is. Yeah, we do that. We do that from time to time, of just kind of like all the San Gabriel Valley shop stewards, and seeing like, you know, we kind of like discuss different things. You know, obviously right now a lot of the discussions are centered around the contract, which is understandable. But you know, we also try to bring up, you know, questions that we all have about, you know, individual things that are going on at our bases, and try to kind of put our heads together. Which, I mean, you know, the fact that Erjan took that initiative, because that's not something that, you know, the full-time officers have really kind of been in on. I mean, you know, I don't know about the other shop stewards, but it is kind of disheartening that we haven't had a shop steward meeting, union wide for some time now. And that's also something that, I think, with our slate, I feel like there'll probably be a lot more information going around than has been going around lately, which
More
that's more.
broadly, if Bill Gilbertson and the trustees were to like try and change the bylaws back to allowing region officers to hold or to preside over meetings in their area, I mean, would you? Hey, Caitlin, I don't know if you're still here. I'm sorry. I keep accepting your request to join and it keeps failing. Um, but Chris, going back, would you feel comfortable presiding over meetings? And there's not necessarily going to be a rigid order of business, but
Mhm.
it would be not just shop stewards, it'd be the membership from your area, because I think you have 10 bases.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that, the more visible the union can be and the more open access that can be there, I think I don't see how that could be a negative. I don't see how that, obviously you know, I think that, you know, with the way work schedules work already anyway, like a lot of times when these big meetings happen where it's just the full-time officers, like the last one that we had in my area, the three local bases got held. Alhambra got held, Pasadena got held, and it just was kind of like, you know. So, I mean, to be able to, you know, give the local membership an opportunity to express their concerns and kind of me run down kind of what's happening with them, to give them more, to feel like they're more involved, like they're actually part of the union and not just sending their dues off twice, every paycheck. That I think that, again, access, where they say sunshine is the best disinfectant. One of the things that, I, what I hear a lot of is, hey, what's going on with this? Hey, what's going on with that? Hey, what's going on with this? And, unfortunately right now I have to tell everybody, like, hey, I know as much as you do, because I don't get as much information as I would like to have. And it doesn't give people the faith that they need to make the union as strong as it can be.
Yeah.
I moved here from Chicago, and if you've been around Midwestern union members, those people, like, the unions there are extremely tough. I mean, the Chicago Teachers Union, if they don't want somebody to run for mayor, that person is not running for mayor. When was the last time 132 had anything to do with any politician, or any of our locals had anything to do with any politician, even
Yeah.
bothering to talk to us? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, that's what I want to see. I want to see local politicians, like I want to see, like, the mayor of, Alhambra coming to us and being like, hey, we could really use your endorsement to get this,
So I mean, Hoffman did do that, and so even though there's a lot of people have this disdain for him, if that's something that's beneficial, you would do it, not just because I'll let you know, we were at the board meeting, we're saying, hey, the membership wants updates, they want video updates, and they're like, that's Hoffman's deal, we're not going to do that. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. You muted yourself, Chris. You muted yourself. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I think he's on the other line. Oh, so we have another request to join. So I'm hitting add. Oh, Caitlin, it says you declined. Says Chris is trying to join. So the question I was going to get to, which it's, I'll just get there instead of talking so much. If the union were to ask you to go with the president and represent your area, San Gabriel Valley, to meet with the mayors or senators from your area to tell them what you're experiencing, what your members are experiencing from your area, you're willing to do that?
Of course. Yeah. I mean, you know, we need as much help as possible. I mean, you know, any outside influence that we can get on the company, not just, you know, because obviously the members we have, you know, we have a limited amount of power, especially based on, you know, the eroding of the power of unions in the last 30 years or so. You know, any outside thumb on the scale on our behalf is something that, you know, I mean, is invaluable. If, you know, it's one thing if we're, you know, if we're kind of out there and saying our piece, but if the company is getting phone calls from city councils, local government, stuff like that, being like, hey, you know, what are you doing over here? Like, we got all these guys kind of, you know, all these members sending us emails and calls, and, you know, we've met with the president of the local and they're saying you guys are doing X, Y, and Z. You know, I mean, I don't see how it could be a bad thing to have as access to as much resources as possible for our benefit. I mean, the company has basically unlimited resources and they'll use them to benefit them. So why not, if we can get our own like that, like why not do the same?
Yeah. And so I don't know what you and Bill have discussed, but Bill has told me that there are a lot of bylaw changes that he wants to see. Are there any that you've discussed with him that you think are great points and you want to talk about them, or are there any that you or your members in that area would want to see?
You know, to be honest with you, not as such. But I mean, I'm open to, you know, looking at everything. I mean, I don't understand why, you know, why there in the past there's been this kind of like cloak and dagger thing about bylaws. You know, I mean, these things are the things that govern how the union operates. I mean, they're extremely important, and, you know, to have more transparency about, you know, how the union operates and what it's allowed to do. And I think it's extremely important to look over everything and kind of make it to be where the, you know, like, I don't know, the last, for instance, the last bylaws meeting, like, I mean, I don't remember hearing pretty much anything from the union about, you know, just very little, like, and I think that, I don't know, just from, you know, my conversations with Erjan and the rest of the slate, like, it just seems like, you know, again, my experience in the union is not as much as everyone else's. So a lot of times, you know, I try to sit and listen and go from there. And I think from listening with them, like, you know, I trust their judgment about, you know, what needs to be adjusted. And, you know, I'm willing to listen and kind of research what they're saying and kind of look into it and see if it makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a good quality, and I know that the members would appreciate that. What about one of the things that stuck out to me was a bylaw change that they're proposing, um, where essentially they're going to move the reimbursements, and we tried this at the board before and it got defeated.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to move the reimbursements over to like a prepay, where the union actually will cut you a check. Let's say you're going to a conference that you're required to go to or what have you. The union would cut you a check based on the General Services Administration.gov's per diem rates.
Mm-hmm.
So you put in the zip code, you put in the dates, and it's going to tell you lodging should be this much, your travel should be this much, you know, incidentals, right? Mm-hmm. So if you get a $200 check per night for a hotel room, great. You want to sleep on the streets, that's up to you. But it would have to be put in the bylaws, and the bylaws would then have to be voted on by the board to be sent to a membership, and then they'd have to approve it. Is that something you get behind? Because critics of that are saying that you would hamstring the union, that you would prevent it from being able to do its job. Or
I don't see how being fiscally responsible could hamstring it. I mean, I think that's, you know, it kind of goes along with, like, you know, being wasteful. Like, why not, you know, if you're going to a conference, the whole point of going to the conference is to go there and to network and learn things, and not, you know, hey, let me get the nicest hotel I can get and fly the nicest flight I can get. Like, you know, you're there, you know, you're not there to party, you know what I mean? And if you know, you're getting a reasonable amount of reimbursement for, you know, reasonable hotel, like obviously you're not staying in some, like, you know, some you know, unsafe, unhealthy place to be, but, you know, having reasonable reimbursement rates, I don't see how that could be a bad thing.
right.
You know, instead of just giving somebody like, hey, spend as much as you want and then we'll figure it out later. It's like, well, I don't know about that.
Right. And there is another part to that, because there will be expenses above and beyond that. But right now it's the Secretary's Treasurer's job to decide whether or not it's reasonable and necessary, and, you know, in collaboration with the president. And then at that point, they can actually just go ahead and approve it and cut the check. But since the union would then move to the GSA.gov rates, the idea was any other expenses would then have to go before the board if they're going to be reimbursed. That's another issue where they're saying, oh, well, that could bog down the union.
I mean, why shouldn't you have to justify? I mean, this is in, you know, in kind of like a simplified term, this is the members' money, you know. This is the members' dime that we're operating on. And I think that, you know, if if you're going to go and spend additional funds outside of what, you know, a reasonable expense is, you should have to justify it, you know. Well, why did you spend $350 on, you know, X, dinner, Y, and Z? Oh, well, yeah, on dinner. Or why did you get this, you know, $200 a day rental car when you could have, you know, if it's just you, why didn't you just get the cheapest rental car you could get? Like, what difference does it make, you know? Like, I don't, you know, so I mean, I don't see how. So
you'd be in favor of taking that discretion away from one officer and giving it to the entire board?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, one person can just say like, oh yeah, no, I needed to have a I needed to have this dinner because whatever. And it's like, okay, stamp. It's like, well, did you though? Like, couldn't you have had this discussion with the person at the conference, or, was it necessary to take 8 people to dinner with you? I mean, I think you should, you're not spending your own money. If you're spending your own money, then you don't have to justify it. You can spend as much as you want. But when you're spending other people's money, especially, when the union has had the financial troubles it has had in the past due to financial mismanagement, it's like, well, I think it's a better idea for you to have to, prove that this was a legitimate expense.
And to more than one person. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
I know there's a few other people that want to jump on. I don't know if you want me to try, if you don't mind, we can come back to you too, but if you don't mind, we can remove you right now. And then
I don't mind passing on to somebody else. I mean, I've been doing a lot.
So. Yeah. I don't know if the issue is, because you're supposed to be allowed to add 3. So I don't know if the issue is that we have one on here. But let me try this.
Yeah, go
ahead.
And
then people are saying I'm not talking loud enough. So is this better, or should I?
I might be pretty loud, so. But I'll go ahead and jump off and let somebody else jump in.
All right. And then Caleb, just to respond, and I'll respond to some questions while we try and get this done. Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad you're here. My face just exploded on the screen. Yeah, so I'll try and answer some questions while we see if we can get somebody on here. Caitlin, you dropped off. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's doing that. Ruben, if you can hear me, it's trying to add you again, and it keeps saying that you're not responding. Oh, there it is. I wonder if it was an issue on, you could turn it to the side, Ruben, right now. Yeah, there, perfect. So let me answer some of the questions in the comments. And actually, it's a pretty good segue here that we're talking about the money, because, oops, it just says you declined the invitation, Ruben, which, I mean, you were here, so I don't think Facebook wants us to. All right, so yeah, Eric, his phone, I think his phone's showing him a different picture. At the beginning, he said it was doing something weird. And then, let me see, a commentary. Absolutely, Eric, I'm coming to that Riverside meeting. So we'll see. Kathy, you had a question of if the chemical never voted for the strike, we wouldn't be able to strike should we vote this down. I don't agree that we wouldn't be able to strike. The union itself was saying that until a lot of us started pointing out that the Joint Steering Committee bylaws say that if there's any, I don't know if they say dispute or matter of controversy, essentially from there, the organization's bylaws or constitution, the organization's constitution would control. So in other words, if we wanted to take certain actions and the chemical union basically said pound sand, we wouldn't be bogged down by 3 locals that have around 400 members. We would in fact be allowed to follow our constitution and our bylaws. Whether we want to vote this down or not, we don't know the full details. We have, supposedly supervisors got emails saying, here's the deal. But the union themselves have announced that they're going to be mailing us the deal and making us decide 9+ days from now to go ahead and read it and get it back in. Whereas at the least the local before put it on the website. So maybe they don't want us to have the time to prepare. Caleb, yes, it sounds like Chris would, in fact, reach out to his local politicians. So, for instance, if the union needed to, they could, on an executive board day, let's say they actually follow Robert's rules and don't make it their own personal soapbox and their own personal manipulation events, they could probably knock that meeting out in a couple hours and then basically get on a phone bank calling up all their politicians and trying to set up meetings and maybe creating petitions where the membership can sign it and they'll email it over to the politician. Because I think Chris is right. And I think that's one of the things we're lacking from this administration is political outreach. Ruben, thanks for showing up. Like I said before, only the RESCG slate showed up, and I think maybe we should see if you guys can change your name to the Sunshine Slate, because you're out here in the light, So I don't know if you want to do a quick introduction of yourself, and then we'll get to issues that are either in the comments or that just come up. Let's why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Well, real quick, I worked with Ruben also when I was a business agent, and so when I heard that these guys were all trying to run for officer, I immediately recommended him for secretary treasurer. One, because of his financial background, but two, because when I would be in grievance hearings with him, he's very observant, and I think he reads a room well. And so in that regard, I think during negotiations, he would be a perfect backup for the chair, right? So without further ado, Ruben, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. First of all, can you hear me? I've been having technical difficulties all morning.
You're good.
All right, awesome. First of all, thank you, Brian, for hosting this event. Thank you for everything that you do for the union. For those that don't know, Brian did create this Facebook, and in my opinion, this Facebook has been the difference between this contract and previous contracts. I realize this contract isn't good enough, but without this Facebook, I'm confident that we would have accepted that first offer of 9%. This Facebook has brought us together, and it is a change maker. So thank you, Brian, for everything that you do, not just the Facebook. My name is Ruben Castro. I am running for Secretary Treasurer for the represented employees of SCG United. A little bit about myself. I'm currently an ETR out of Murrieta base. I am a shop steward as well at the Murrieta base, and I was previously a shop steward at the Riverside base as well. I started out in the call center in San Dimas. I transferred to the call center I started out in Redlands, and then I transferred to the call center in San Dimas. After that, I went to the Riverside base as an ETR, and now I'm currently serving as an ETR in Murrieta. Let's see, I've served alongside Brian in some step 2 grievance hearings at the tower. I've attended VAST. I've helped out fellow members in many ways in investigatories and fighting back against management. I've been very vocal against our own union management. I was one of a couple who stood up to Joe when he tried to silence us during this last RTA to require all shop stewards to not say anything negative. I openly said I will not abide by that order, and I will also not resign, because he was saying that we had to resign if we wouldn't say positive things or if we said anything negative. If not, he would be removing us.
Did he remove you?
No, he did not. I did not give him any evidence, though. I'm not an idiot.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Yeah. I just know that I haven't met anyone he's removed yet.
Yeah, no.
Plenty of people that have been vocal about it.
I also thought it was more important that I stay as a steward than give him an easy opening to remove me.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's a little bit about my history with the company. Prior to the company, I do have a financial background. My father was an accountant, real estate broker, and owned multiple businesses, and he heavily thought it was important for me to learn have a financial education. As a kid, I would assist him with his books. Literally, I remember sitting at the kitchen table or in his office, and we would be reconciling ledgers. We would be reconciling all of the books. By my early teens, I was doing our own taxes, both for my parents as well as family members. I still do. Later on, I opened up my own income tax preparation company where I ran an income tax preparation company, doing people's taxes for them. I ultimately ended it because I didn't like it. It was 12 months of work in 2 months of time during tax season, and it's just you're working 20-hour days, and it was extremely stressful and bad for my family. I love it here. You know, there's a lot of things that we can fix, but at the end of the day, it is a good place to work, and it's something worth fighting for, and that's why I'm here, because I want to fight. I want to make this place what it should be. You know, make the gas company great again. That's kind of my mantra with my buddies, because this used to be a place where, you know, if you worked here on level 4 or higher, you could buy a home. You know, there's a lot of people, you know, this raise is good, but I would you buy your house, bro? Because I guarantee you it was more than 10 years ago. And if your mortgage is only $1,200 a month, $1,500 a month, yeah, any raise is great. But try going to buy a house today and see if you can afford a $5,000 a month mortgage for a house out in the middle of nowhere. You know, I'm lucky. I bought a house 4 years ago, and my mortgage is $3,200, and that's reasonable. But if I was to buy my same house today, 3 years later, it'd be $4,500, and I can't afford that. Yeah, I don't know, but we should be able to. You know, and that's why I'm here, man. I'm here to try to make this place better. And with that, I'm open to questions.
Yeah. Where do we start? So we're on your financial background. Why don't we start there? If we were to task you, because you'd be full-time, and in fact, the union employs staff, and one of those staff members would be basically your right-hand person. And so if we were to task you with what they call costing the contract, which I'm sure you heard in shop steward training, costing the contract. I mean, does that sound like something that you could actually be efficient at, or do you think we'd have to again hire more people to?
Yeah, you know, I don't want to overstate my qualifications like some other people on this running for office, but basically, I have taken accounting classes in the back in my past. I've worked with QuickBooks. I know how to run a spreadsheet. I did one yesterday at Vast to figure out, you know, better opportunities for the different members throughout the Inland Empire with how many days off they could possibly request. And I was able to get some wins doing that. I absolutely could run some costing scenarios, and like Bill posted on in response to someone last night, like do some research into what the company has and what stuff costs and what's reasonable to ask for. You know, I think 65% would be great, but I think it's a big ask. But let's find that right number. I know it's not 20.
Yeah.
But if, you know, one of the things I do want to say, because, you know, there's only so much time, and I think it's most important. If I was elected, my goal would be to cut waste. I was looking over the LM2, the available information that is required by the union to file.
Yeah.
And I took the time to compare it to previous years. And you know, I did make some interesting findings. In 2024, in comparison to 2023, we took in $900,000 more than the previous year. We had $900,000 more in income. If you were to ask Joe, what's the current financial status of the union, he would say it's terrible, it's poor. But we took in close to $1 million more, and we laid somebody off. So essentially, we had $1 million extra. Where did that move?
She was laid off for lack of funds.
Correct. Where'd that money go, man?
Yeah.
It's all waste. If you look at the salaries of the full-time officers, and then you look at right next to their names, the disbursements that they did for quote unquote union business, let's look at previous administrations. Let's look at Hoffman. He averaged about 20,000 in additional disbursements. Javier, about 18 to 20,000. Last year, Joe did 45, and then I'm sorry, 2 years ago, he did 45, more than double. And then last year, he did 60, triple. Now, I'm not saying that's not all legitimate, but how do you go to double and triple the amount of disbursements?
Well, let's say you win, right? But the remainder of Joe's slate stays intact. Under the current bylaws, one of your jobs would be to exercise discretion over reimbursements. And so if you were to find, or if Joe were to turn into you a reimbursement for parking at the gas company tower for $50, is that something you would approve?
No, absolutely not. When the company's offering a shuttle service for free, which I have utilized, and it's not that inconvenient. It's a 10-minute walk, first of all, if you don't want to use the shuttle. And if you do use the shuttle, it's 15 minutes. So I don't see why that's necessary. And it's stuff like that where, overreach has been exercised multiple times. And let's talk about solutions, though. The solution to that, I think, is not just, a treasurer with some spine and good ethics. I think that the solution is accountability, which would mean changing the bylaws to require the entire executive board to approve reimbursements, not just two people, not just the president and the secretary treasurer co-signing each other's BS. If all reimbursements had to go through the election committee, now you have every single regional officer requiring approval of it. And it's less likely that many people are going to co-sign BS. That would be one of my proposals for a bylaw change. And it would definitely solve a lot of these problems where there's overspending left and right.
Yeah, it sounds like you and Bill are on the same page, because I know he's had that discussion about there should be no more secret. People who are friends are able to approve each other's reimbursements and quietly just, cut those checks.
And another big thing that I want to do, which does not require a bylaw change, and I would do it immediately, is I would post the monthly treasurer's report on the website with behind the password, of course, because it should only be available to members. But any member in good standing can log in and without even having to request it, see the monthly treasurer's report once it's been approved by the board. Another thing is allow for digital copies. If a member wants to see like a breakdown of a specific line item on the treasurer's report, they could simply email me and say, hey, can you give me the info on this line? And I would shoot off an email with a PDF of it. This is the member's money. There should be no secrets here.
So there is a requirement for you to treat every member equally. And I guess your interpretation then is that instead of requiring them to come to the union hall, you would either create a policy or ask for a bylaw change wherein you could actually just email anyone who asks for it or post it on the website, even if they're not asking for it.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, because it's not required of you.
I mean, I don't see why that's a big deal. That's what should be happening.
I agree. No, I agree. It's not what the old guard does. So,
when I would go to union meetings before the current administration, they would pass around the treasurer's report at the beginning of the meeting. Now, granted, nobody looked at it, but at least they did it. And you know what? I was one of those few that looked at it. And that's what I discovered.
Us that looked at it, because we have some weird questions.
And I asked if I can keep it, and they let me keep it because that's what's right.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a lot of disbursements that are being made. There's a lot of people being activated on union business that is being abused. I'm all for spending where it's necessary to get what's right for our membership. If you're a steward and you need to do a grievance investigation, absolutely, dude. we'll pay for your time. Like if you're, you know, like if you need to go to do something legitimately for the union, in no way would I ever get in the way of that base visit, etc. But
But you'd
when
also be open about it. It sounds like, hey, you know, if someone just wants to know where's my shop steward, where's my region officer? Oh, they're cleared on union business today.
correct.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't actually prepare any conversational like pieces or questions, and I'll be honest, I'm kind of blown away. I know you were. I thought you were going to be a good candidate, but you know, based on what you're saying, like I'm kind of blown away. So I don't know. Let me see if the chat has questions because I'm excited
While
now.
you're looking at the chat, I did write some notes down that I wanted to bring up.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's what this is for. And if any of the other slate um, or independent candidates want to jump on, I mean, that's what this is for. Uh, I'm looking right now, and I don't see anybody else in there. Looks like Mark Moore's also trying to join, but yeah, go ahead.
You know, one of the expenses that stood out to me on the LN2 was that we spent $48,000 last year on a lobbyist. And,
Yeah,
you know, you were the one who brought this to our attention a while back, that there's this website that you can go to, CalMatter Digital Democracy. And you've posted this multiple times in the past on the Facebook. And it's a great website, by the way. It's a great tool.
yeah,
And if you look up Utility Workers Union of America, UWUA, the lobbyist firm will come up. And we spent $48,000 essentially for 3 10-second statements at 3 different, 2 assembly bills and a Senate bill, all of which were very, very loosely related to our industry. So essentially, we paid $15,000 for 10 seconds of these people's time 3 times. And if you look at it, it's a joke because they'll post a video of the actual statement. They say their name, this is so-and-so on behalf of like 6 different unions, Teamsters, blah, you know, the teachers union, blah, blah, blah. And at the end, Utility Workers of America. And all he said was in favor. And then another person gets on. It's a line of like 60 lobbyists in front of the assembly or the Senate trying to show that their people approve. And if you look at the findings on these bills, there was no nays. They voted unanimously yes. So these were bills that were going to pass anyway. Like there was no like reason for us to pay for a lobbyist here. And it's stuff like this where it's like, well, our national takes 35% of our dues. I think the national should be picking up that expense, not the local. And that's a small thing, but it's things like that that I want to get rid of.
yeah. And so if you get in office and you reach out to them and you say, "Show me your body of work," if there's not enough there, you're going to want to cut back on that.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm not saying get rid of lobbying, but why don't we have our president do it?
Yeah,
If we're going to spend 48 grand, let's have a guy whose vested interest is in like saying more than you know, I support, you know, in support. Like spend your 2 minutes saying why you support it. Go shake some hands. Go to the assembly. Go to the Senate. Go to Sacramento, you know, or even Washington D.C. You know, for those $48,000 could be spent much better with Bill going out there. So you know, I'm not against spending the money per se. I'm against the, you know, spending the money poorly.
yeah. What else? Because I'm interested in what else. What other ideas you've had?
Well, I want to bring this union into the 21st century. So no more paper records, you know. But another thing is we're currently on a stream. So why do we need a union hall? Why do we need this $1.5 million debt that's, by the way, going to be coming due soon with a balloon payment that we don't have the money for? And some people are talking about using the strike fund for, which I'm 100% against. We are in a new time now where we can have our meetings digitally. And one of the ideas that was floated, which I am in full support of, is selling the building at a profit. It's currently, the comparables are at about 2.5 million, 2.4 million. So we could potentially gain $800,000, $900,000. Buy 2 locations, 2 small offices on opposite sides of the district, of the territory rather, and like let's say one in the south, one in the north, $400,000 each, a small little office. We don't need a huge office, and then rent location in the middle. We're currently paying $10,000 in our mortgage anyway, interest only. So essentially, we're renting it. Spend half of that and have 3 locations, 2 bought and paid for, no payment, and half of the expense of a $5,000 lease somewhere central. Now we have representation throughout our territory. I think that just makes more sense. There's things like reaching out to IBEW and looking at how they run things, because they currently don't have 3 full-time officers and they get way more done than we do. They only have 1. They have a business manager model where the business manager is full-time and he handles last-minute stuff, and the president, the secretary, the various other executive positions are part-time. You save tons of money that way, because then the company pays all of the medical benefits, the pension, the 401k match, the vacation time, not the union. The union only pays for actual work.
There's people who would argue that, you need 3 full-time officers. You need 3 full-time staff. Well, actually, now 2 full-time staff. I mean, if you get in there and you see that there's a necessity for more or less, are you going to be able to put together like a comprehensive package for the membership to vote on? Because ultimately, you're talking about bylaw changes. If you're talking
Absolutely.
about that.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, this all has to be approved by the membership. These are proposals.
Okay.
If the membership is not okay, and let's talk about that. Bylaw changes should be severable. This is severable. That's a hard word to say. When we vote, we shouldn't be voting yes or no on 10 different things. We should be voting yes or no on every single issue that we're putting to vote. If there's 10 issues on the ballot, you should be able to vote for every single issue, yay or nay. And maybe you're on board for 9 of them and you're not on board for 1 of them. So you vote yes on 9, you vote no on the 1. And
yeah. No, I know you guys have talked to me about that, and I think that's a really good idea. I think it was the number 1 complaint is, hey, this thing would have passed, but you want to touch the strike fund, so that's a no.
Absolutely. In response to your question about needing full-time officers, if the need's there, we could activate people, clear people for 10 days at a time, come back to work one day, and go back out for another 10 days. So essentially, I mean, you're working 1 day a month on the company dime. Now the company can get wise to it and then start charging us back for some of the benefits and stuff. But
or come after that in the next contract negotiation. But yeah.
For now, it's in our favor.
Yeah.
Also, level 9 pay would be gone, because if you're cleared, you're getting paid whatever you get paid.
True.
So Joe's a level 4 right now. If he was working for us, he would get paid for actual hours worked at level 4.
I think he's a lead, so he'd be a 6. But yeah, that's 3 pay grades lower.
Well, either way, he's a 6. I thought he was just a CSR, but either way, it's still a savings.
No, absolutely, and yeah. This has been refreshing. I don't know if you have more. I'm willing to talk about it, because
another proposal would be getting away from paper checks. We for so long. I mean, who still uses paper checks?
Well, Belinda says you need to countersign, and so that's why we still do that.
Well, one of the I don't know if you've heard of modern technology, but one of the features that many banks offer is a dual sign, where essentially you would have to get it approved by 2 different electronic signatures. So you're accomplishing the countersigning feature in an electronic way, and that you still have a record. And everything that a check offers is available electronically, and it is already utilized. We're not reinventing the wheel here. It's already in place in a lot of other institutions. I would also allow union meetings, like the one coming up on March 5th in Riverside, to be streamed on the website behind the member login.
Okay.
Why are we hiding this stuff from the membership?
I mean, yeah.
So,
I'm excited.
Those are some of my ideas. Those are some of my ideas. I know there's a lot of people that want to talk. Is there anything you wanted to ask me? If not, I would yield the floor.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. I'm really glad you came on. We're getting a ton of comments. I can't really keep up. I don't know. I'm sorry, Caitlin. I don't know what happened. there is somebody else. Mark, I don't know if you're available now. Maybe we can talk to you about your candidacy for trustee. And thank you, Ruben. That was refreshing.
Thank you, Brian. And please vote for represented employees of SCG United. Have a good day.
Yeah, I'm going to. All right, thanks. Mark, if you're still on, I can try and add you. I tried it earlier, but it said you were not responding. I don't know. Maybe you went and grabbed a coffee. All right. So I don't know if Mark's going to be able to accept or not. Mark Moore, for those of you who don't know, he's up in Oxnard. He's an FPA. He's actually going to be running for trustee. I think he announced it on the group months ago. And I said, I hit him up and I said, hey, I'm 100% on board with you running for trustee, because we need people in there who are going to actually do right by the membership and who have some good ideas that are going to cut out the corruption. So I know that if something makes sense, he's going to jump on that. Marcus says I'm adding you. I don't know if you want to. I don't know what's going on here. Yeah, connection failed. Here, I'm going to try approval again, and then if this doesn't work, I'll close that part out, and then I'll try to add you instead of you trying to request. Yeah, it's not working. Let me let me cancel your request here, and then I'll try and add you. All right. All right, Mark, I'm trying to add you right now. Yeah, it's not working. Just keeps blinking that it's adding you, Mark. I don't know if you're getting a notice. You might have a red dot at the bottom. Well, if you guys like this, I mean, I think it's been productive so far, and if you guys like this, I mean, I'm open to doing this again next weekend, or maybe even during the week. So just make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Just kidding. Let me know if this works out for you, if you like this, and we are open to anybody jumping on. So Mike Bernal, Edwin, Mackenzie, whoever wants to come on here. There's no red dot. Yeah, and Caitlin, maybe we could run a few lives to see if we can fix that. Okay, Mark, it says you're requesting again. Oh, let's try this again. Yeah, sorry, everybody. I don't know why it's having an issue. Bill, can you let me know? It looks like Bill's trying to join too. Bill, if you're still there, I hit invite on your request, so it should The guest declined. So, all right, Mark, I see you there. Let's press approve. Hopefully this works, Mark. You might have to accept it so that it, because I don't think Facebook Live wants to turn your camera on without you knowing. Bill. Yeah, I know, Caleb. I'm sorry. I tried it. It said it didn't work. All right, Caleb. Thank you. I don't know what the issue is. I'm sorry. All right, help, you know. Trying again real quick, Mark, and then yeah, it says you're declining the invite. So if somebody else wants to join, either comment on here and I'll try and add you, or click that little button. No, that's way better. Bill, I'm trying to add you again. Yeah, buddy. Nice shirt. Yeah, I appreciate everybody jumping on here. I know it's a Saturday morning, and let's try Tim. I know it's a Saturday morning. Tim, I'm trying you right now. If you want to click on the acceptance. But yeah, I know it's a Saturday morning, and there's a lot of stuff to do. Luckily, my son is going to the softball game with my niece, and you know, it'd be fun to watch her. But I'm gonna, take this time because I know it's important. We've got the election coming up, and typically we don't get to know who the candidates are. They show up on the ballot, and people just mini, miny, mow it, or I don't know how they choose. But um, I'm hoping that with this kind of platform, people can get to know the candidates and make a decision based on that, or even um, request more from them, because everybody you're seeing here today is in the Facebook group. So if you want to look them up, message them on Messenger, do it. And if they're not answering, let me know, and I'll try and reach out to them and see if I can get you guys in touch. All right, I'm gonna try again, Mark. It says you're trying to join. I'm gonna hit approve on that. On the little icon that shows like a person, and then there's a frame with a person in it as well. You should be able to click on that and then hit accept. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, guys. It's saying that you're declining the live video invitations. So I doubt I doubt you're actually declining. You do have to be on mobile, so I don't know if that's part of the problem. I'm going to try again right now, Mark. It won't let you accept. Oh, that's crazy. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you on Android? Just yeah, if you want to try rotating the phone first, make sure you guys have your phone. If you tried it one way, make sure to rotate it the other way before trying again. Let me see if it'll let you come on, Bill. Somebody just messaged me asking me if the other slates are on here. I don't know if other people have the ability to see the members on the list. So I don't know if I'm just because I mean I don't know what the hell with it. Yeah, no, none of them are. Yeah, like I said, I think one of the other slate, the Strength and Unity slate, yeah, connection failed, Bill. I think one of the other Strength and Unity slate signed up, but then I don't know if they're going to join later or what. Oh, that's crazy, Mark. The accept button is grayed out. It shouldn't be. Hey, Chris, if you don't mind,
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if you have anything you want to address with the membership. I am on my third coffee, so I need to go use the restroom. If you don't mind,
Yeah.
maybe you have some more stuff that you want to talk about, or I don't know if you can see the chat. Maybe answer any questions that you see in there that you think you
Yeah, I
can
don't.
answer. I'll be right back.
I can't see the chat while I'm in the video. I don't think.
Well, yeah, if you want to take it away for just a few minutes.
Yeah, sure. So just to kind of reiterate some of the stuff that we were talking about before, I do think that, you know, one of my main issues that I've had recently is the transparency and just kind of the lack of what feels like sunlight in everything that's been happening, not just with the contract, but with bylaws and with finances. You know, we shouldn't have to feel like we're not, like we're just passengers on this. We should all feel like we have a say, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm trying to get more involved. Anybody who's met me so far knows that, I'm I'm a firm believer in what the union can accomplish if there's, the union is strong from the bottom up. The foundation is important, and all the members, from the newest person who, is running off to Pico to get their training, all the way up to the full-time officers. we all have a role to play, and we all deserve to have our voices heard and feel like the union is doing what's best for us. And that's kind of what I think our slate, from the impression that I've gotten from talking to everybody, I feel like our slate is the one that genuinely has the best interest in everyone, all the members, regardless of, again, whether you have, 6 months of seniority or 30 years. Doesn't seem like anybody involved in this one has any kind of ulterior motives to running for the position that they're on the slate for. They're not looking for undue access or any kind of, like an easier ride or anything like that. Like it seems like they're all true believers in what can be accomplished if we really, speak as one voice.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have any other questions for me or anything.
No, I know that one of the things that I tried to get done when I was in office was allowing and paying for the shop stewards to have their own email. Now, if they had something like that, as a region officer, you're essentially one step above in the hierarchy of the shop steward. Is that something that, if you were tasked with, you would enforce, where, hey, shop stewards, I'm going to email you stuff, and I need you to, 5 minutes before the clock starts, announce these things?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely having a chain of command is important, and being able to hold the shop stewards accountable. But honestly, like, if they feel like the shop stewards that would be underneath me, if they feel like I'm not doing my part, I would hope that they would hold the same feet to my fire, and my feet to the fire. And I don't like, in no way would I take that as like a threat to my, to my, I don't know, my ego or anything like that. I mean, if any of the shop stewards under, in my region feel like, hey, we really wish you would do this when you've been doing it this way, like, I'm open to hear people's points of view. I mean, I don't think any of us has a monopoly on all the information and talent that is running around. So I mean, if somebody has good ideas, I'll always be open to that as well. So that's one of the things that, when I see someone who does have a position of leadership, to me, a good leader is willing to listen to people that are more on the ground than they are, because sometimes when the higher you move up, sometimes the harder it is to see what's happening at the micro level. And when you have the local shop stewards, like, they're a resource, not just people that do what I say. like they're there, I'm there to assist them, but they're also there to assist me.
Yeah.
If they see stuff that I'm not able to see from the more macro level, then if they see something that works better in their area, like, definitely want to hear about it.
Yeah. We have a question. Someone's asking, what are your opinions as to why people that run for office always seem to flip once they get in office? Just dishonesty, or do you think there's a bad set of expectations as to what the job actually entails?
I think that, not only in unions, but you see it at the political level as well, like, state offices, U.S. House of Representatives, stuff like that. Some people, when they run, they get elected, and then they get into their office, and they, for whatever reason, maybe, things happen where they start to fall in love with the trappings of the office. Like, they're like, well, their mentality becomes more not speaking what they know to be true, but saying the things that will continue to keep them in their position. And I think that you see it a lot where, somebody will be in an elected office for a long time, and the entire time they've been in their elected office, they've been doing things counter to the people that put them in there, and not standing up for what's right, until they decide to, maybe retire from their office or not seek re-election. And then all of a sudden, when it doesn't matter anymore, all of a sudden they find their moral compass and start saying, all the right things. And personally, I think that, the position is not what's important. What's best for the union is important. So if I were to get elected and I say things and do things in there that, maybe, are the right things, but aren't the things that aren't always going to be popular, but it's what's best for all the members and for the strength and health of the union, then I'm willing to take whatever consequences those are. And I think that's one of the problems, is that people are not willing to suffer the consequences of doing what's right, because doing what's right is not always what's going to get you, the fame and the riches and all the good stuff. A lot of times what gets you paid when you get into an elected office is not doing the right thing, is doing what's best for yourself and not for the people who put you there.
Yeah.
And personally, I would rather lose the office for doing what's right than keep the office for doing what's wrong. That's my personal opinion.
And so, as far as why it happens, it sounds like to me what your answer is, it's an individual basis. It depends on the individual.
I think a lot of times, it can be very easy when you get into an elected position to feel influences from above instead of feeling the influences from below. In that, like, it's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever, this is going to be kind of a deep cut, but if anybody's ever seen the movie Johnny Dangerously, there's a scene where he's, they're trying to convince this guy to do what's wrong. It's like, this is all the things you can have if you just play ball, and it's like, well, yeah, okay, maybe I could, get some, if I affect the union in a way that's favorable to the company, maybe I will get a cushy make work job in the gas tower that I'm not qualified for and makes a ton of money. I mean, I'm sure those kind of things almost never happen, but
and so you'd be in favor of the level of transparency you're hearing from these other candidates?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think that, falling in love with the office is what happens to a lot of people. And again, that falling in love with the office is what causes them to flip from being this idealistic, hard charger to kind of just play ball, go with the flow. Don't make any waves, just, hey man, we got it good. Like, we can go out there and wave the flag every now and then when we need the members to give us a boost for something. But for the most part, we're just going to kind of, we'll just play ball and we'll just kind of, don't rock the boat. Personally, I'm one that I don't mind kicking the boat over. Like, who cares?
So you sound like you're not going to have a problem with being the wave maker, because I can see where you want the union to be.
Mm.
And I saw that, years ago when you were in shop steward training. And so before we can get the union to where you're talking about it being, are you okay with being the wave maker for members who, are scared, or they don't
Well, well, if you look at, I don't know, I mean, I think you might know, but what's been going on with me over the last year or so, but I mean, that's kind of why I'm in the position that I'm in now. Go ahead. That's kind of why I'm in the position that I'm in now, where I've incurred the wrath of local management, because I have been the fly in the ointment, the just being kind of, trying to do my best to hold supervision accountable when they blatantly violate the CBA, and I think it's when it's blatant like that, if you can't stand up, if you're afraid, well, they're gonna, oh, if I say something, they're gonna retaliate against me. It's well, you know what? Our past union brothers and sisters have had it way worse. Okay, them holding an investigatory on me over some BS, I'll survive. It beats getting shot at or beat up by strike breakers and Pinkertons and things like that. Like when they start shooting at us, then we'll see who's the hard charger and who isn't. But for right now, I think, being a pain in the ass is part of being in the union. I mean, the company doesn't give things to people who, sit back and take whatever the company throws at them. I mean, think about the fact that the company would pay us as little as they're legally allowed to pay us if it wasn't for the union.
Yeah.
I mean, they would, that's, I mean, think about how many other people are suffering through having to fight just to get minimum wage increases. You know what I mean? I can't imagine if we didn't have the union, where we would be. So, I mean, if you're not willing to fight for it, if you're not willing to take some heat, it's what are you even doing being a shop steward or being a union officer if you're not willing to be a fighter?
And so what about organizing things where, and we've seen it in the past, where if a particular supervisor is unruly, we'll say, organizing things where the entire membership shows up early out front and either informationally pickets or maybe even does a march on the boss. I mean, is that something that you're willing to try and get members to, not necessarily say, hey, you need to be confrontational, but show them that, hey, we have power if we all come together and do a march on the boss?
So I think one of the, I like ideas like that. One of the things that I have seen is that because there's been a lot of new hires, including myself. I mean, I'm external. I only have 5 years in, right? But I've said there's a lot of people who either don't understand, don't know, or are still kind of afraid of the actual repercussions of stuff like that, of being, operating inside the CBA and inside the National Labor Relations Acts about what we're allowed to actually do, and want things that the company's not allowed to retaliate against us for. And, you'll see guys where you're like, hey man, they're not supposed to be able to do that to you. Do you want me to say something? Well, I don't really want to, and it's one of the things is that I think it's because they've, in their short time, they have seen a union leadership that hasn't been as aggressive defending them as they should, sitting on grievances and,
not being the fighters that are necessary, especially in the current climate. You know, right now,
you're seeing
you
this now, right?
yeah,
Right, like right now. And so, let's say negotiation. Let's say this contract gets voted down, and you all get elected, and you go into negotiations. What are some of the things that you might work tirelessly on to get put into the contract that would solve the issues in your region?
I mean, honestly, I might be mistaken, but one of the things that, so if you could correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the right to strike during a contract negotiated out by previous administration?
Yeah, it's in the contract that during the term of the contract, you can strike.
So that's definitely one of the things that I would like, that language I would like removed, because one of the issues that I've seen is that when the company violates the CBA, in other unions, you know, the union will send a notice being like, hey, you stop doing this. And if they continue to do it, they say, fine, we're going on strike until you stop doing it. Right?
UAW.
Yeah, UAW, teachers unions, you know, some of the stronger unions, that's one of the things that they hold in their back pocket, is that they can walk out at any time.
They have the ability to do like a surgical strike.
Sure, for violations, because basically right now what happens is the company violates the CBA, and we have to, you know, march through all these steps or sue them, you know, out of our pocket, and they dare us basically to do it because they're like, you know, who cares? I dare you. You're not going to do it. You know, I mean, the 60-40 split for gas operations. What do we do about it? Do we do anything? Well, we file grievances. We file maybe a ULP or file an NLRB charge, whatever. You know, we file charges here. We do this, we do that. But, you know, think about how much, you know, I'll give you an example. You go to a work site in Chicago, a union work site, construction site. Everybody there is union. A non-union worker shows up, all of the unions walk out. And they say, we're not coming back to work until these guys are gone. Right? They walk off. They don't care. They'll walk off the job and dare you to do something about it, you know? So, I mean, that's something that, like, you know, when we...
What can we do here in California, which is supposedly the haven of, you know, left-leaning policies? What can we do to strengthen unions? I mean, it's crazy to me that Chicago.
It's crazy. Yeah, no,
not here in California.
Don't let a non-union electrician show up to a union work site. When that non-union electrician leaves, he's going to come out to his truck with 4 flat tires and, you know, like all of his windows busted out, because they're going to be like, no, this is a union work site. You don't bring in non-union guys. It's not the way it happened. You don't get to choose that, right? You want non-union guys, go build somewhere else.
I think we'd get in trouble if we were flattening NPL Tri-Card's tires.
Yeah. But I mean, the principle of like walking off the job site saying like, no, you guys you're not gonna bring NPL or Taker or Arizona Pipeline or somebody like that in here to do work that should be done by represented employees. Like you're gonna stay to the 60-40 split like you said you were. You're not gonna violate the fenced in positions like you do all the time. Like that's just not gonna happen, you know. And if you do, we're gonna go on strike. And we're not gonna go on strike, you know, in the summertime when there's not a lot to do. You know?
You're an ETR, right?
Yeah.
If we were to get you in connection with somebody from SDG&E who's currently a service tech over there, you'd be open to basically going over each other's duties and...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I didn't get a chance. I did work up in the Altadena fire areas, but I was not there when the SDG&E guys showed up. But, you know, I would definitely like to get together with some of them and kind of see, because they always bring up, oh well, you guys are different, they do electrical work or this or that, but they do have gas techs that still make more than the ETRs make here. So it would definitely be beneficial to, I'd like to talk to anybody who works in a similar field in the state. I know that they can try to say, oh well, that's different, whatever, but if we're going to talk about, industry standards, I want to see what industry standards we're talking about. Like, how much more training do we do than other utilities that do similar work than us, And if so, why are they, if we do more training, if we're more qualified than them, why do we not have comparable wages to them?
Right. That's interesting.
But I'm gonna cede the floor and let Bill.
I don't know how that happened. Bill?
Bill's the man of the hour here that I definitely want to hear from a little more as well. So I'm gonna back out.
It was a good talk. Thank you. I really
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
you jumping on, and
Yeah, no problem.
I'm glad that we have this chance for people to see who you are, because
I appreciate being able to come on here and do it. So
yeah, I have a lot of faith that you do real good at region officer. So I'm
thank
glad
you.
you're running. Thanks. Hey, Bill. I hear a little one in the
Oh
background.
boy.
Oh,
Yeah, the cat is
I thought it was
yowling
a
like a.
baby.
That's a cat.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking the time to jump on here. I know it's Saturday. I think we have we only have 20 viewers right now, but we had 50 at one point. So I'm sorry I couldn't get this thing to work before that. And
Well, so I figured it out. Maybe Mark can figure it out too. So basically, I had to go to settings for the app
okay.
for Facebook. Went there, and then it'll ask for you got to go to the permission
Oh,
on there, and then go to camera and microphone, and you got to say ask every time,
okay.
and then it'll let you in.
Yeah, it's good to know.
So I don't know if Mark wants to try that. He can be there or whatever. How's forklift training? Well.
I don't even know if you need an introduction because you're
Not there yet.
you're so vocal in the group. But I've worked with Bill for years. He's currently a region officer. He's what I would call a member of the opposition party, but he's actually been, he's been one of the peacemakers or the peacekeepers in there. He wants everybody to see everybody's side, and there's times where he would just abstain because it was such a controversial vote. But I think one of the things that most impressed me about you, man, was I heard that Joe was threatening to remove you from being an officer unless you left the Facebook group. Meanwhile, he was and is still currently a member of the Facebook group and isn't holding his other officers to the same standard. So at that time, I don't know if I'm telling too much, but at that time, you not only did you stay here, you went ahead and became a moderator. So
Yeah.
I've been impressed by you, and I'm glad that you're running. I don't know if you want to give people a brief introduction.
Okay. Well, I'm Bill Gilbertson. We're going with represented employees of SCG United. As you saw, we got Chris and Ruben giving their speeches in here. Ruben actually gave pretty much all of my talking points, so there's not really much for me to say anymore. We're talking about the building, splitting it into three, trying to see how we can get more money into the union. There was a couple things in the comments that I was seeing where people wanted to go. They're asking if we would be willing to stay at our current pay grades instead of taking the grade 9. I don't think anybody on this slate is trying to do it for money. We all just want to breathe life back into the union that we have, because I don't know. We had e-board yesterday, and just looking at the financials, it's depressing. It really is. It's like, where's the money going? What's going on? Why the LM2s don't make any sense? Like, we have people from other locals that are looking at our LM2s and then talking to us as individual regional officers, and they're like, how are you getting so much here and there? And that's not how we do our LM2s. And I was like, look, I have no idea. I am not someone that handles that kind of paperwork. Um, all I know is that it doesn't make sense to me either. I know we tried to make sense of it in eBoard, and even then,
Do
I
you
still like,
ask
what are you?
Do you
It's just
ask
all
her to
gibberish.
show you the vouchers
Yeah,
and the accounts?
she said she would have to look at us all one by one, and then she would have to come back like that. And I don't know. It was. She said it would take a long process. Is basically what she was telling us. So I was like, okay, well, that doesn't make me feel any better, but I mean, I get it. Typically, if you need a breakdown of whatever expenses that add up to the end of the year, it's going to be a lot of things. But I mean, if you file the LM2, you should have all that available, I would
And
think.
they're asking you to vote on it. And they're asking
I
you to
think.
ratify their expenses, and but they're not willing to show you what they are. Is
Yeah.
that something you would if you were
And then
president?
somebody, no, I would ask Ruben to show me my receipts because I need to know what's going on.
It's also
So I don't know. I feel like there's been a lot of reimbursements for things that I don't think we should be reimbursing for. There's a lot of stuff getting paid out. It doesn't seem like it should be paid out. I mean, I'm guilty of it as well. I mean, as a regional officer, I went to Lancaster and got them like breakfast burritos and ended up coming out to like $1,100, and I was like, whoa, I should not have done this. This is too much money. Um, so yeah, that's cutting back. I was like, man, I should only bring donuts because the allowance for a regional
Yeah.
is like $100 a month, and I was like, yeah, that's too
For the
much.
people private messaging me, that they can barely hear me. Is this better without the headphones? I don't know if you want to
I hear you. It
way clearer.
sounds clear.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds pretty
Well,
clear.
we'll do this. I thought the audio quality would be worse, but maybe my headset's going out. I saw something interesting in the comments that I don't know if it'd be popular with the membership or I just thought it was really interesting. You said that you'd be willing to, let's say, Ruben does an assessment and says, you know what, we need to move away from having full-time officers so that the union could take, the 401k match, the benefits, the salary, and start letting that go back into the local and then operate the same way the other locals do. You'd be as president, you'd be on the bylaw committee. You'd be okay with something like that?
Yeah, I would definitely put that out to the vote for the membership to figure out. There's a lot of little things in the bylaws that need to be updated. Everything's way behind the times. We might even like offer it as an option maybe in the bylaws, like you could be a full-time or you could be a part-time. I mean, for me, I like my job. I like being a crew leader. I don't need a grade 9. I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it for the experience. I mean, most of the stuff that us crew leaders get qualified for, we could do at any gas company. So, if crap would hit the fan, and I had to move out of state or something, this is the kind of experience I need. But I mean, that's not saying I'm bailing out tomorrow. Just saying that I want to get every bit of experience that is offered to me in this company that I can. So I've been pretty vocal about it before, where it was like I don't want to be a full timer. I don't even want to be part of this anymore because one, it's time consuming and it's depressing. It's like, okay, I came into this to make changes and I feel like nothing has changed. So it's like we're in the cycle again.
Aren't you one of the ones that have also started having shop steward calls?
I actually started that. And then I told my fellow regionals, I was like, did you know that we have this Teams app that our local pays for and we can actually schedule monthly meetings? I brought Erjan in on it. I told Surya about it. I've actually held Teams meetings with you when you were a business agent, and I had the shop stewards in there. I tried to have one with Mike. Mike never really joined. I was having monthly ones for a while there. And then when we were in contract negotiations, I was holding some with my guys as well, trying to keep them informed as possible so that if anybody approached them with questions, they wouldn't have to call me. They could just talk to any shop steward that was in the area, and they would know exactly what's going on just as much as I do. Keep us all on the same page rather than me sitting in one spot and just answering phone call after phone call. you know, everybody out here, I can have a Teams meeting and everybody knows what I know. So that way that we can go with like a pyramid scheme kind of, right? Where it's like the top guy knows, the bottom
Yeah.
guys know, and everybody know from there going down, 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 down. That's how it should be. It's more efficient that way rather than wasting time, you know, oh, I'm going to go talk to the bases, spend 5 minutes and tell them everything I know in 5 minutes, and then I get kicked out by supervision.
Right.
That doesn't make sense to me. Where if you are able to give all the information to the shop steward that is at that location, and then they can talk either on breaks or, you know, non-company time, whatever, outside of the company, and they'll know exactly what the regional officer knows or the full-time officer
A
knows
second ago,
or whoever's in
it sounded like you
negotiations.
were, I mean, you were even saying it. You were so frustrated you were willing to just step back and let it all go to hell like Joe's intending. But now it sounds like you have a lot more hope and like a clearer vision. Do you think it's possible that, you know, if you win the election, that you could implement a system similar to your region, but across the entire? I mean, do you get the sense that the region officers would
Yeah.
get on board with this?
I mean, from the regional officers that are on my slate, and I mean, you guys have been talking to Chris and Ruben so far, and Tim's been chiming in on the chat. I can see him in there. I think everybody would be open to, you know, monthly meetings via Teams, just to keep our shop stewards all involved. I've noticed in this last e-board, we had several people sign up to be shop stewards. If we can just keep our shop stewards informed and give the power back to them, let them hold their regional meetings too, if that could be possible. I know I've talked to plenty of old timers that have said that the regional officers used to be able to hold regional meetings at their bases, and we were able to give out the financial reports and so on. They would just make us really strong. We'd come right back as an organized group. We wouldn't be as disorganized, and everybody's on this Facebook like, who's this? Who's saying that? Oh, this must be a rumor or whatever. It should be like one voice, one motion, and I feel like if we were able to get that into the bylaws and make it a rule that can't be changed, it'll make us a lot stronger.
And I know I've had a lot of discussions with you and everybody else, and I really, your bylaw changes are, I mean, I think they would win by a landslide. I think it would be the opposite of Joe's bylaw changes where they lost like what, 10-1. I think yours would probably, yeah,
something like that.
So I mean, if this contract passes, are you going to jump right on the bylaws, or you know?
If the contract passes, there's a million things that we need to get done first. One would be the mortgage and the balloon payment. That's coming up immediately. Another thing which I'm really on board with Ruben is we need to cut all the waste. There's way too much wasteful spending. Just like fees coming out of all of our ears is just, it's ridiculous. The union is super inefficient. Just like the bylaws alone kind of restrict us in some ways, but the things that don't restrict us, we should be getting rid of immediately. Like we don't need a full-size SUV with leather seats and all that. We don't need a $1,100 a month payment on a vehicle as a union. We don't need a $600, $700 payment. We need to be driving around in like little eco vehicles like hybrids or something that get good gas efficiency. We shouldn't be driving the vehicles on non-union time. It's ridiculous. I mean, our union dues are paying all of that and the fuel. It's crazy. So one of the things would be to cut the spending would be one of our first things. The second thing would be addressing the building, and then at the third top thing would be the bylaws, so that we can unrestrict ourselves and get this local moving forward, because this is a huge waste of time. All of this stuff should be done immediately to save our local, because we're drowning right now. We really are. I also feel like well,
no, I thought it was interesting.
Go ahead, Brian.
That it was, you know, you and Ruben were talking about it, and Ruben was even saying, I'm looking at the bylaws, and the secretary treasurer's job is to run the office. Why is he, or why is the secretary treasurer? Did I cut out? Oh,
no, you're here.
Why is the secretary treasurer not parking their vehicle at the union hall unless it's going to be used. And I thought that was so I'm glad you brought it up because I think that's a really, really big point there. And if you guys are willing to put that into a permanent change in the bylaws, I mean, that's huge to me.
Yeah, I mean, another thing would be, do we need 3 vehicles?
Not if you're parking it at
I
not if you're
mean,
parking one of them at the hall.
right. I mean, so could we get rid of one of the vehicles and just keep 2? I mean, that would save us a few $100s right there a month. Tags, registration, fuel cost, everything would be cutting down. I mean, at the very least, if you're only driving like, I don't know, say 40, 50 miles, maybe 100 miles in a week, do you need a union vehicle? Or are we, what's the offset? Would it be better to pay the mileage per the federal laws, or would it be better to pay for a vehicle that's going to be ever getting old, and the maintenance and
It's
everything?
refreshing
What's the
that
point
you
of it?
don't, because there's a lot of candidates, and I'm sure a lot of them are making promises. They're all touring the bases, but it's refreshing that you aren't saying definitely that you're going to do this, that, or the other, because as you're acknowledging here, it sounds like you don't have all the information. And so until you've done the research, you're not going to make that decision. So I think yeah, I want to point that out
Right.
because I think that's really valid. It looks like
There's
one of your trustees is trying to
Go ahead. Get in here now.
have you ever worked with Mark?
His name sounds familiar, but I don't
He's from
believe
the
I
North
have.
Coastal area. So he's not
Okay.
necessarily somebody you would have dealt with much because you're in the San Joaquin Valley area. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more
So
inland.
speaking of that, you're up there in Visalia. That's not too far from the capital
Mhm.
compared to Glendora, right? Are you willing to go and meet
Yeah.
with senators and House representatives um, to push our issues and I mean, San Francisco's closer
Well,
to you than it is. Are you willing to go to the CPUC and tell these people that if our members want to strike, we're going to strike?
yeah, I'm not a politician. I mean, anybody that knows me probably knows that. I don't dress like one. I don't look like one. I don't act like one. I've been a field worker the entire time I've been here in the company. Uh, I'm, I don't take excuses. I demand receipts and information. I don't want you to just tell me something and walk away from me. I need proof of why you think the way you are. Um, am I willing to go talk to a politician? Sure. Yeah, I don't have any problems with that. Um, I don't take any smack from anybody, so I wouldn't be scared of that. And I'm not scared of authority. I'm pretty sure anybody that knows me at my base, I'm not scared of authority at all. As long as we're following the rules, it is what it is. But if somebody's living by the code where it's like rules for you but not for me, that pisses me off. I think the rules are there for all of us to follow and not to dance around. So if I need to go to talk to a politician and say, you're not following what we are paying you to do, you're not lobbying the way that we're supposed to, anything in positive for our industry, then I'm going to tell them. I'm going to find somebody else, or I'm going to have to take care of your job because you're not handling it the way we want you to handle this. And I think we're lacking hugely in the CPUC market because we're just falling behind all the fees that have been introduced on our industry, where it's preventing us from putting any more gas into any of these cities. All the rebates and everything it's just super difficult for our industry, and we're dying right now. We're fighting on all fronts, and we're losing that battle. And it doesn't seem like anyone's fighting at all. It seems like we're just paying somebody to do it, and they're not doing it at all.
There's executives who, in meetings with the union officers, have said that they actually want a strong union. And one of them likened it to the time where the unions could go to the politicians and force them to get things done for them. And so it sounds to me like, and this is what I'm asking you, are you willing to put together a team that would go hold these politicians accountable?
Yeah, I mean, if you're being paid a grade 9 plus whatever percent, I mean, you're basically holding the local on your back. You need to go and enforce what your union dues are paying for. You shouldn't be sitting in an office doing nothing.
I know I've talked to you a lot about the bylaw changes you want to make. Like, what is one of the ones that you find most important?
I mean, dude, I would have to go page by page. I mean, when we were in the e-board meetings for the bylaws, all the regional officers, they all had their important ones. The main one that I really think needs to get worked on is the voting by snail mail. It's just super inefficient. We can't get anything done because we have to wait for. Not only do we have to pay a mailing house thousands of dollars to send out a ballot, but we have to hope that they get there, which usually they don't. Because I mean, as we've noticed in many of the other votes, a lot of people get their stuff returned, or they never get it, or so on.
So you
It's
see a
super
world,
inefficient. That
you see a
needs to
world
get
where
figured out.
not only could you email the members, but you could send them a postcard with their pin, and on Monday, and then, hey, on Friday the polls are going to open and you can log in and vote, and then by Saturday, hey, Mr. Company, the union membership declined your offer here. Is that?
Yeah, exactly. I need it done immediately. I don't need this, oh, we've got to extend the contract a month, and then we need time to get all the stuff together and printed, and then we need to send it out, and then we got to hope everybody gets it, and then we hope that everybody returns it and it doesn't get lost in some other mail or get tossed out accidentally. It needs to be we're going to send you your PIN or code or whatever for our website. Here it is. You sign in, you cast your vote. All our votes are done within 24 hours. And we bring it right back to the company like, this is it. This is what we voted for. And I think that's probably about 50-75% of the problem why we have such low voting. And the company knows, because either somebody has given up or they've lost their ballot, or there's something going on with the ballot where they can't cast their vote. And it's such a super, just, I keep saying it, inefficient. The process is inefficient. Our company is a multi-billion-dollar company that has become extremely efficient, that can send notices out to us, have us vote on things, surveys, anything, instantly. Why is our
Yeah, it
union
is
not
pretty
that
sad
way?
that the union or the company does it more than the union does. As far as the survey.
Yeah. How can the company send out a letter advising you to leave your union instantly, but we can't get anything out to our members earlier than 24 hours? Because we refuse to use social media or emails or any of that. We have to use a third-party
So
website only.
you had a challenge filed against you and your slate. Although I checked my mail, I didn't get anything. So if I'm supposedly a part of the organization here, I didn't get anything. Are you even campaigning at bases?
No, I've been super vocal about that as well. I know people in comments and posts or whatever are asking us to go to their bases. I told everyone that not only do I not want to campaign, I don't want any challenges or anything filed against me, because I wasn't part of the clean slate. I didn't get voted in. I actually got appointed by Joe, which you, Brian, and Whitlock actually kind of convinced me to get in there. Talarico convinced me to get in there as well. And I was like, you know what? It's time for a change. All right, I'll get in there and I'll do my thing. Um, and knowing that you guys had gone through trusteeship and it had set you guys back greatly, I was like, I don't want that to happen to me or my group. I want to be able to hit the ground running immediately. So I was like, I don't even want to expose us to the possibility of challenges or anything. So I was like, I'm not campaigning. Everybody at my base knows who I am. Everybody in my region knows who I am. I keep my people updated. But I advised everybody else on our slate, if you want to go and talk and hand out flyers or whatever, that's your thing. But make sure you guys are following the rules. And then as well, I said I wouldn't be bad mouthing or name dropping or talking smack about any of the other slates. I don't partake in that. It's not who I am. That's not my
Why do you think
person. I think.
Why do you think that's important?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The name talking or smacking. I think people were tired of it. That's pretty much all Joe was doing, wasn't he? He was just
Yeah.
like, oh, the Hoffman, the previous administration, it's all their fault. Nobody cares. Move forward.
I'll tell
It's time
you,
for the future, man.
it was
We
refreshing.
got
At first, I was annoyed that you're going to do that because I thought, no, man, you need to get in there and you need to show your power. But then it was refreshing to realize you're able to focus more on the issues than, you know, back when we were. And it does leave the communication channels open because I think even if you beat, well, at least if you beat George in a landslide, I think he'll probably still work with you. But I think Joe, isn't it? Was Joe Investalio saying he's not going to work with people if you don't vote him back in? That's what I heard. Were you
Yeah,
there?
I was. So the day of that he came here, not only did he not tell any of us, the management told us like later on in the day that he was going to be there, and I was like, okay, well that's fine. I'm a crew leader and I have things to do. So if I make it back, cool. If I don't, I don't care. But I ended up finishing the job that me and my crewman had gone out to do. We were about 45 minutes away from the base, and then we're about to start another job where the customer service team lead actually called me and said, hey, we need an ADR steward back here at the base. Somebody's going to get investigated. So, well, me being the only ADR trained in my base was like, well, okay, well, did you tell my supervisor, my lead? And she confirmed. So I ended up backfilling my job, hopping in my crew truck and running back to the base to represent this person. And I walked in, grabbed my notebook, my CBA, went into the investigatory, walked right past Joe and giving his speeches. And I mean, my base was already handing it to him. They're already asking all the good
Wait,
questions. Miguel Pena was in there, Jim Corsline, a few
Sorry,
people.
that sounds like he was in there campaigning on company property on company time.
Yeah, I mean, he had his flyers on the table.
But you're heading to
So
investigation. That wasn't like after 3, was it?
no, my investigation had started at actually no, I did.
Oh, okay.
I got there at 3. Yeah. Yeah, my investigation started about 3. Yeah, because I was 45 minutes away. I think they called me like
Oh, okay.
2:20-ish. But I think I rolled in at like 3-ish. But went in and did my investigation. Luckily we were able to get out of it with no coaching, no interim, no time off, no nothing. Finished my notes and then went into the meeting room to kind of hear what they were talking about. And there was a lot of like, we're going to start all over if they have a new group of people come in. I was like, no, that doesn't sound true to me, which doesn't matter to me because I was in the negotiations the first time around. So I know all the proposals. I wrote some of those proposals. I was in there for that month. I took the notes. I'm aware of the entire process. So if he's saying that we have to start all over, I think 1, that's a lie, and 2, I wouldn't have to start over because I know what happened. So there's that. And then he said he wouldn't help the people that took over, and I was like, that's fine. I don't need your help.
Would you be willing?
I don't. We have 3,000
Would you
members
be willing
that could help
if he
me.
offered
I don't
it?
need you.
I mean, obviously supervised, right? But would you be willing to take his help?
Would I take his help? I mean, yeah, sure. I'll take whatever help is offered to me. Is supervised? I mean, yeah. I mean, everybody's going to be supervised. I don't think one person solely should run the negotiations. It's supposed to be a team effort. That's why they have us in there with all the other locals. The chemicals, 483, 522. We're all supposed to be in this together. We're supposed to all give our wants and needs, and it's supposed to be a one push forward. I mean, if you look at some of the proposals, like the line of progression one, where 522 and 483 didn't agree with it, why is it even in there? Our contract doesn't have anything where it's like, okay, it's only approved for this group or that group. It's one or none, unless there's like a side agreement that was done by those locals. So I feel like that one alone, our members don't want it. They've been very vocal about it. Why is that
So are
even
you
in there?
willing then to, let's say the union came up with these proposals and it came from a small group of people, they wanted progressions gone. The first contract gets voted down, or would you have been willing to send out a questionnaire or a survey to the membership to say, hey, what did you like, what you didn't like? Obviously the wages were huge for us, but there are a lot of people who feel like
Yeah.
if you're going to screw around with the representational abilities of the union, you're screwing with my working conditions. So, I mean, would you be open to sending surveys and questionnaires to the membership, or are you going to have this "I'm the leader" attitude?
No, it's like I said, it's not I'm the leader, it's we the people. So yes, I would be putting out a survey or a poll or something. I mean, we've done it
Yeah.
before here on the Facebook page. I wouldn't send it in paper form in the mail because one, that's dumb. It's going to take way too long. Um, I would try to reach out electronically, digitally, in every way possible. I know there's some people that don't have Facebook. We could try, I don't know, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, and then we would have to somehow have something in the way that where we can confirm somebody hasn't voted twice or multiple times. Like we said earlier, where it was like we sent out like a pin or something. Even if we like try to add it onto the current website that we have now, that would be a thing as well.
Yeah. Excuse me. No, I know. I've worked with you for years, so I already know what you're about. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to talk about. Um,
Well, I saw in here that Brandon is asking that if the contract gets voted in as a 4-year, would that change our
No.
union leadership 4-year election? And no, our bylaws would have to be changed.
No, that's federal.
It would
That's federal law. Federal
it
law
would
is
be
every
federal too.
3 years for local and every 4 years for national or international. So we can't change that. That is another problem.
Yeah,
It's like it's so. Oh,
yeah. So
if
there
you
you
want, I
go.
could
We're
try and
screwed.
get Mark on
It would
here.
screw it.
See if you guys could. I'm pressing it now, Mark. It says he said he changed the permissions. So
Yeah, I mean, once I did that, that button wasn't grayed out anymore, and it told me to join as me.
okay, cool. Hopefully it works for him. So if he were to win, he'd be one of your trustees. So you'd be holding bylaw committee meetings with him, and you would be doing
Anything that has to do with money,
the
I would try to
audits.
get
The
him involved.
audits. You'd be doing those as well. Those would be the minimums. But it sounds like what you're saying is you would want him and his input on a lot of the financial aspects.
Yeah, if he's going to be the one doing the audits, he should be able to see everything. He should see it as it's happening, so that it would make his audit easier. He'd be like, "Yeah, I was in the room when that was happening," or "Yeah, I saw that reimbursement. Here it is. Blah blah. Blah. Here's the receipt." It should be pretty efficient. Now, I'm not saying he has to be like cleared all the time or he's going to be in the office all the time. What I'm saying is he should at least be CC'd in an email or know what's happening. Our trustees
Yeah.
shouldn't be in the dark.
Now it's saying I can't add him. This thing. It's all you Android users.
Yeah, it's a problem, but I don't like iPhones, so
So looks like a lot of people are reacting. Looking for a question here.
I'm looking as well.
Somebody asked how's forklift training.
I've asked and I asked and I asked, and I haven't been sent yet. So, Tim was saying that we need to reach out to IBEW, and I've already said that we need to do that. We need to reach out to IBEW and see how they run their local. How are they so successful? How do they deal with the grievance process? How do they deal with their company? How are they such a unbeatable force? To where they get their membership so involved. How do they have the wealth that they have? Is it their dues? How do they collect their dues? How do their bylaws look? Everything. If they can help us, if any local union nearby us can help us, that would be something I'd be looking into.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's kind of what you would be as president, right? You'd be chief executive, chief lobbyist, chief of everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know we talked before about you giving the power back to the membership, and I think one of the things you were on board with that I liked was that you wanted to bring back those informal meetings with the region officers. So I don't know if
Yeah.
you want to talk about that, or if there's anything else you want to talk about. Basically now's your chance, and I'm willing to hold these meetings every weekend if you guys want, or in a couple of days too, if you guys want. I'll be right back. I heard something.
Yeah.
Talk to membership for a second.
Oh. Okay. So I'm looking at the chat right now, see if there's any comments or whatever. But as far as the informal meetings go, I tried to hold some as a regional. Joe luckily was allowed me to hold those meetings. Unfortunately, when I held them and I gave out mass text messages and everything to everybody, it didn't seem like they took it seriously. I remember seeing some of them, they thought I was talking smack about Joe in those meetings. I was like, no, I'm literally just going to bring whatever information I have with me and try to share it with you, so that you can all be informed. And I rented a spot out, and I think I had like 4 people show up, maybe like 2 shop stewards, and that was it. So I was like, well, I'm not doing this anymore because, well, it was one, a waste of money, and it was a waste of time. I drove down to Bakersfield for that one. Brandon, again, with the bylaws, can we vote each one instead of all or nothing? Yeah, so that was one of our talking points that Ruben had talked about, where we want to vote, have all these bylaw changes, and we were going to vote them one by one. It wasn't going to be a one or all. It was or none or all. It was going to be a one by one, and then we would see how many votes each one got, and then we'd keep revising until it came to a solid bylaw agreement between all of us and the members.
Yeah, Ruben was talking about that, making them severable so that it's, accept all, reject all, or hey, I like this one, don't like that one.
Yeah,
And it sounds like
it would be a lot easier.
some of the feedback, like that's actually going to increase you guys' engagement. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we need, like I said, we need everybody engaged. And I mean, most of it's going to be like practice runs, just to try to get more and more people engaged. Joe actually had told me, he's like, if you did get voted in, you got to make sure the engagement keeps going. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't sit dormant and hope everything gets done. Like I would be going out and trying to make sure everybody's engaged. Another comment that somebody had said in Facebook was, I think it was from Rafael Corrales, if I'm saying that right. He was saying that he had seen Joe more than he had seen any other president. And I was like, yeah, I mean, your dues pay for him to be present. So you should be seeing your president. But I was like, I'm currently not your president. I have a job in the company. Your dues don't pay for me to go to the coast and campaign and talk to you. I would have to take my own time to do that. And with having 3 kids, one of them being 6 months old, and being a crew leader and not knowing, I'm not a 9 to 5 job. A crew leader can be an all night instantly. Anything can happen. We can have a major damage. We have a broken gas line. It could be all hands on deck immediately. And I can't just leave. I can't just leave instantly. I can't plan to go campaign 1-1-1-1-1, whatever base, and then go do it. My schedule is already mayhem. And I'm a big family guy. I don't like to be away from my family, but if I did get voted in, so be it. I have to figure it out. I mean, the company is also
You
my
also
family.
committed to the teams meetings, right? Was that just shop stewards, or would you be willing to hold, whether it takes a
No, it'd be a monthly.
online? Yeah.
Sure. For everybody. Yeah, so it would be that's the other thing. I remember when you were a business agent, we were trying to get everybody's calendar
Yeah.
organized together so we know who was busy and who wasn't, who was doing whatever. I would like to implement that as well so that we all know what everybody's doing. We don't have to like send it a group chat. What are you doing this day? Are you available that day? Whatever. What time are you available? It should be, here's my calendar. We can go and look, and there it is. The membership should be able to see the exact same thing, see what our calendars are, where we are, what are we doing, because it's their dues are paying for us to be here. So they should know what we're doing all the time.
Set up.
if we're on vacation, whatever, they should know
You
as
could set
well.
Yeah. If you made an account president at UWA, whatever, you could set it up so that you could
Yeah.
have it mirror your actual calendar, except like remove like sensitive information. Like for instance, if it's the business agent, because I tried to do this, but when the company sends me invites, it automatically like does a placeholder on my account or did a placeholder on my calendar, and it had like the grievance name and everything. I was like, you can't share that publicly with the membership, because I wanted to share it with the stewards. But yeah, no, I think it's an excellent idea if you're talking about getting everybody involved. But wow, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even if you put in like I'm on vacation this week or whatever, the whole drama thing that we have going on where it's like, well, if I answer and I'm on vacation, now I'm working. That shouldn't be a thing. If you're answering your phone while on vacation and it's for work and you know it is, you're answering at your own accord. You shouldn't say, oh, well, now I'm working. No. You can answer the phone call and be like, oh, this is about union stuff. Okay, just FYI, I'm on vacation right now, so I don't have everything in front of me. Something like that. I don't know.
No, I mean,
We shouldn't
makes
be
sense.
hiding
And
everything.
I was talking about sharing the calendars with the shop stewards because they have certain obligations and responsibilities. But if you're talking about the entire membership, I mean that's huge. It's a lot of transparency.
Yeah, there shouldn't be anything. There should not be any discrepancy. Like, if there shouldn't be a day where it's like, I wonder where my president is today. Where is my business agent today? What is my secretary doing today? What is he working on? Shouldn't be any of that. There was another thing we were talking about where we could have it to where like you have your PIN, right? And you say you filed a grievance or a grievance was filed for you. You can log in and be like, this grievance was under my name. It looks like it's been filed. Where is it? Is it waiting for grievance committee to approve it? Is it waiting for a second step hearing? Has it been dropped? Has it been added into an
So there's
arbitration? Where is it?
people who think there's a lot of the old guard who think, well, that's going to make people think we don't do anything. Are you going to accompany that kind of access with education on like how many steps are involved, how long it takes, how many grievances have to all be heard? Because
Yeah,
that's
that was the other thing. Or if you've looked at any other locals, sometimes they have like training videos or presentations or something like that, so they kind of get you into the know of what the processes are and how they work. And one of the main things I would like our shop stewards to know is just how the grievance committee works. Where does the grievance go? What is a breakdown of it all? How do protests work? How do arbitrations work? What does it look like in an arbitration? How much money it costs to go to arbitration? That kind of stuff needs to be looked at. I mean, even as simple as just like investigations. What are you supposed to say? What are you supposed to do? How do you coach your peer that you're representing? How you should act in the investigations? What he should say? There's such a thing as rambling on too much. Or I've taught a couple of my other shop stewards this, where it's like they ask you like, oh, is there anybody else around that might confirm that you were there, or blah blah blah. You don't want to put anybody else's names in there, because then now you've got to get your guys' stories together. And not saying you should lie, but now you might be throwing your other peer into under the bus,
or
and then you guys are both in trouble. It's just like
attacking.
there's a lot of things.
Yeah.
Now we're all getting attacked.
I was
it's
surprised by how many stewards were lacking in what you're talking about, and it's not any fault of their own. I mean, some of this information you're not going to know about until you do it, like how the hearings go and all that. There were stewards like, well, I never got invited. It's like, even if you're not getting invited, maybe there should be a training of some sort, like a classroom on the website, the union website, or what?
Something of that sort. I mean, I was also thinking about holding, like, say we got rid of the building. Say we had 3 different buildings. Say we held trainings at these buildings monthly, weekly, quarterly, whatever. Everybody can come to that building, and the buildings would be somewhat local to the regions. That way, you know, it'd be accessible to everybody. We wouldn't have to be driving 4 hours, 3 hours, whatever. It'd be maybe an hour at most. Um, we'd have one kind of central to the north, central to central, and then another one central to like the south, something like that. Obviously, we're all spitting ideas out there. I mean, there's no guarantee that we're going to sell the building or we could sell the building. We still got to look into seeing what our options are. All I'm saying is that it's being a huge burden for a huge building that we only use about half of, if that, maybe even a quarter of, but we're paying for the electric bill, the water bill, and we're heating and cooling that building, but we're only using a quarter of it. So,
Yeah.
but we're paying the full price of it. And I mean, anybody that has gone to the building, it's like decrepit. Like the paint's coming off, there's holes in walls, the shelves
got
that
the
are in the front are falling apart. Paint's coming out on the front. The drainage on the outside is terrible. The trees and everything look dead. It's
Hey, we got the roof
bad.
fixed though.
Yeah, I mean, we paid, was it 40-50 grand for a roof
Yeah.
replacement? We don't even use the whole building. Nobody helped us with that. So it's like I said, we're super inefficient right now, and we need to be more efficient. Our people need to be informed. They need to know how to be a steward, how to be a valued member of your union, and stop being dormant. That was one of the main complaints I had as a steward, was I'm not getting trained enough. I don't know what the hell is going on. I'm kind of just figuring it out. I mean, you'll have bully you or intimidate you, and you're just like, well, I don't want to get in trouble or get any time off or get fired, so I'm just going to do what he tells me, or he or
Yeah.
she. So yeah, the trainings need to be a huge factor. When I took the regional spot, I did the teams meetings. I also made it a fact that I wanted every single one of my shop stewards to be in shop with me, or at least been in shop without me, just so they could see how shop works. A lot of guys would complain about VAST and vacation selections and everything, and I was like, well, if you go in there, it's just handed to us. It just says they have to present it to us. We have no say in it at all. I mean, we can go in there, we can give our 2 cents, but we get nothing out of it. And then like anything in the shop agreement period, company can come in and revoke stuff, and we could fight them. But most of the time they could just revoke it to revoke it. And for us to get something back into shop, it's like pulling teeth.
Yeah. This has been both refreshing and depressing.
Yeah. Tell me about it, man. I've been depressed for 2 years because of this whole situation, where you get the members, they'll come and they'll talk to you, and they're like, who agreed to that? Why is that in there? Why is this a thing? And it's just like, man, if you were in
Yeah.
there with me, you would know we have no power. Like there's no point for me even going to these, because I mean, most of the time the manager's pretty cool, but it's the people above them that are telling them to do these things, and we have no option, and they have no option. They're just like, this is the orders we were given, and we're like, well,
What I'm
do
hearing
them, I
from you then
guess.
is
Like,
it sounds like your focus is going to be more on member engagement, so that you can build worker power and bring them in. Because if right now the company holds all that power, if we end up doing what unions should be doing, which is bringing everybody in and having them all have your back, I mean that's what we started to do with the strike vote, but that didn't.
it kind of backfired. But I mean, I'm sure some people remember me from in there. I was running up and down the halls handing out T-shirts at the strike vote. Um, I ended up bringing a full collar people with me as well. I took with all of us together, it was 6 people. Took them all the way down there from Visalia, and then I brought them all the way back up. I mean, I've signed up as a strike captain. I've been ready this whole time, ready to go.
So, I mean, we kind of already talked
Um,
about if it doesn't pass, if it gets voted down, what you would do. But if it does pass, um, you know, what are some of the things you're going to do to prepare for this next negotiation? Whether it's, well, or if it's 4 years from now.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot, but I mean, we could definitely get it ready for the next organization if we didn't get voted back in again. And I mean, I would cry me a river. Like, I don't care if I get voted back in again or not. I probably would have been, then I'd still probably would be like, I don't want to be part of this anymore. I'm done. But we would definitely set up the next group of people for success. We would have to have everything already planned and ready. What does everybody want? What could we do better from the last one? One of the things I was talking to Erjan and Surya about was having either a contract committee or a negotiations committee or something like that, where within our 3 years, like that's their whole thing, is just
So
getting us ready for
tried
negotiations.
that because we were seeing that it wasn't getting done, and there was opposition to
Mhm.
that for whatever reason. When would you implement that? Because we were pushing for that for a while.
Oh, immediately.
Okay.
Immediately. The climate changes instantly all the time. So we need to know where we
So
are
that would
and
be
what
like a
we can
standing
get.
committee, is a committee that's preparing contract proposals or what have you, research, all that for the negotiating committee.
Yeah. And it may not even be just like regionals and officers. It could be even people of the membership that have background in the CPSC, background in economics, market adjustments, anything like that, analytics. Use the knowledge that is provided to us. We have, like I said, we have 3,000 plus members that are well educated. We need to show Aaron Smith that we are not just knuckle drivers. We all have some sort of education, whether it be from the very minimum to the very high, bachelor's, master's, whatever, and anything that can help us move us
So
forward. We should be doing that immediately. We shouldn't be preparing
you've got a member that can type
last minute.
100 words per minute. You're willing to bring them into the negotiations just as a record keeper, a note taker.
Yeah, but from what was brought to me was one of our staff at the union hall is actually one of the persons that usually keeps all the notes so that it's permanent in the records of the union for the negotiations, and she wasn't included this time around. So who's going to give her the records? So that would be one of the things. Would be why did we stop that practice this time around? And yes, I would be bringing somebody in that can type that quickly or can at least keep up. When I was in the negotiations this time around, the company had 3 people on computers typing every single thing we were saying and doing. And I was on our side, it was me and Mike on the computer, and everybody else was writing notes by hand. When Slevin came at the end and he was like, "Where are we at on our proposals and everything?" I had it color coded and organized on my computer, and I was able to send that to Jackie, which is the national for the chemicals. She printed it out. I handed it to Slevin. I was like, "This is where we are, and this is where we stand." And then all he had to do was like, "Which one of these do we want?" And he went down the list, all of us as a group, chemicals and everybody, and we went, "Okay, we want this one, we want that one, blah, 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 blah." And we got it done immediately. That's how it should be done. It shouldn't be sifting through notes. It shouldn't be, well, I don't know where we are in this one or where we're on that one. We should all know exactly what we need so that if we call in the big guns like the Nationals, they're like, okay, this is what we're going to do and this is where we're going.
Do you feel like we gave them a good launch pad to go off of? Okay.
No, I feel like we really messed up. And I don't want to say who it was individually. I don't want to name names or anything, but I feel like we definitely lacked in certain areas where we could have done better. And I mean, a lot of people would be like, we're a union, you can't put anybody down, but it's like, no, you can see it. We suck. We suck. We did not do what we were supposed to do. And for the engagement that we had, we fumbled. We fumbled the ball real bad on this one. I mean, the Nationals have taken over the negotiations. Like, what do we have now? So people are saying, like, if I got pushed in, what am I going to do? I don't know. I would have a meeting with Slevin and tell him what we want. But at the end of the day, it seems like we have no control anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'd still, you and your team would still what, cost out things and research things.
We do everything we could to prepare to more. If we were still in negotiations when that happened, that would be the first thing we do, is all hands on deck on the negotiations. And like I said, we would be reaching out to the members and everything to get that going. I see that Michael said, why isn't the chemicals authorizing a strike? Unfortunately, them being their own local, we can't say or do whatever they do. We can't represent them. We can't advise their members. They don't pay dues to us. There's nothing we can do about them not authorizing their strike. I definitely can't speak on their behalf. You would have to talk to their presidents of their locals to get their opinion. I unfortunately can't give my insight on that one. I can only control ourselves. And then Sarah was saying, if elected, how would you and your slate encourage members to become shop stewards? When I became a regional officer, I went from like 2 shop stewards to 8. And then a couple of them dropped off. I had one of them that it wasn't his thing. He didn't like it, and he dropped off. I had a couple go to management. I lost a couple too when Joe ended up threatening all the shop stewards that if you didn't vote yes on this RTA or promote it, that you would be removed. So I had people that left because of that. He actually named me by name in eBoard and said, if you didn't get your face off that Facebook, I would be removing you from office. And I was like, well, you can't control what I do on my own time, so no. I'm pretty sure that's illegal. He said that to me in eBoard, and then he also threatened me again in the shop steward teams meeting, which was like a day later. And then some people at the eBoard reached out to me and said, oh, it's not about you, it's about Brian. And I was like, no. He said, you, Bill, you will be removed. He didn't say anything about Brian. Brian's not part of this anymore. Brian is just a member. So that I took personally, and that's one of the reasons why I'm running now, because I don't believe the union should threaten any of their members for any reason. We're all free thinkers. We shouldn't be threatened because we think differently or we act differently or because we're not following orders. This isn't the military.
No, he says he's a coach.
Oh, he's a coach. He's a
He's a
terrible
coach, but
then.
if his quarterback sees something happening and wants to change a play, no, just shut up and do what you're told.
Joe's really good with metaphors, like the one he used for you, where it's like, well, if somebody comes in your house and steals your TV, are you gonna let him come back in your house? I was like, well, he's not leaving my house.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm calling 811. That wasn't a threat. Nobody take that as a threat.
Yeah, no, he's terrible with metaphors. He abuses them. Try to add Mark Moore again. I keep trying and it keeps not doing it.
Man, it's a difficult one. I feel like I'm one of the only ones that could figure it out. Me and
I
Ruben.
think Ruben's on an ice.
Oh yeah, he's on an iPhone, so yeah, he had no problem at all. Yeah, so with Chris, where he's saying that shop steward should be, there should be at least one at every base per classification. That's what I try to do. I have one in fleet. I have a couple in ETR. I have, I'm in gas ops currently, and I work as an ETR, so I know both sides, and I'm ADR trained. So that was the other thing we need to figure out is we need to get people ADR trained. ADR is one of our tools that we must have as a union. And we haven't had it for so long that it's crippled us. People are taking unnecessary time off because they're getting punished. We should be using that ADR process. Me being the only one trained in the North is in Visalia is just, I don't know. It's stupid. Yeah, because I mean, we need to have somebody in every position so that that person knows what your policy and procedures are.
Well, I don't know. Mark said he gave all access. Let me try this again. Don't do it, Mark. Let me do it. Let me do it.
Yeah, no, I had to go to the settings and it says give access all the time or ask every time, and I went to the ask every time.
Every time. Okay.
Yeah, so it has to ask for permission every time it uses your stuff, and then I went and clicked the live. You gave me the approval, and then it asked for permission. And I gave it okay, and it let me in.
Yeah, I was hoping that other slates would show up. Obviously, the members wanted to see debates. I thought that would have been cool. Maybe if I'm moderating it, I can try and keep it from devolving into chaos, we'll say. But
Yeah,
I don't see anybody else from the other
I'm
slates. I know one of them signed up, but I think she ended up saying, unfortunately, blah, 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 and then she deleted her comment. So I don't know what to say. If they
Oh boy.
see this and they're willing to come on and talk to the membership, if I'm the problem,
I mean, if they want to just talk
pick a
to me, that's
moderator
fine.
you
I don't
want
care.
to have
Um,
jump on. If you think I'm the problem, but I will be in the comment section asking questions. I don't see anybody else from other slates, or I'd say let's give them a chance. If you want to take a break, I can see if you dropping off, if then I can try and add.
let Mark in.
Is he still here? Oh, he's not here.
Oh, you left? I see the
Yeah.
comment. It says 1 minute ago.
Maybe he's trying to rejoin to get it to work.
I mean, I had some people that said they couldn't even see the live on the page. Wasn't showing up for them.
Add him again. Yeah, he's not even on here. Sorry, everybody. I have no idea what's going on. Okay, Mark, I'm going to try it again now that you're back. Without rotating the phone or anything, if you're able to click on that little icon that shows the people, that'd be good. While I wait for Mark, I just want to ask if you guys, guys and girls, if you all want to see your candidate come on and have a conversation, and their only issue is it's me, we can get a different moderator. The point is, if you're going to go base to base to base to base to base, why not come on here and say what you're saying at the bases? Why is it you're only going to rely on in-person communication where nobody else can see what you're saying, and it's to a limited audience, and maybe you even have a problem with it being a video that someone can watch tonight if they want to on their own time, instead of missing you because you were at the base 30 minutes before they got there. I guess that would just be my message to any of the other candidates who are serious about answering to the membership. And I know this group, while it has 1,500 people, that's not a majority of the membership. So I think it's going to be important for all the members here in this group to get the word out to the membership that if the candidates want, they have the option of coming on here. Yeah, Mark, I'm sorry. I don't know why it's not working, man. I appreciate you showing up. Well, I don't know if anybody else wants to jump on, or I would rather not hold court without the other candidate here. But if we do this again and they're still not going to show up, I think there are going to be some important things that we should talk about. That if they don't want to be here to discuss with us, then we'll just talk about it without them here. So keep that in mind if you're watching this again later. But otherwise, I don't want to just sit here and, this isn't about me. This is supposed to be about the election and who you're all going to choose. So if nobody else wants to jump on, we'll go ahead and give it an end. I don't know if you can hear me, Mark. I keep trying to add you, so I don't know if you can grab it. If not, sometime this week we can work out what exactly the issue is, and then that way you can jump on the next one. At risk of getting a challenge levied against Mark Moore, I worked with him before when I was in Oxnard, and then again when I was business agent, I would rely on him for some things, and I know that his heart's in the right place and he wants to help the membership, and he's got a lot of experience. He used to be involved in the union a lot, and then unfortunately the corruption forced him out. Essentially, like I mentioned in a comment recently, the bad system is going to be a good person, beat a good person every time. A lot of the way that bylaws are set up today is meant to grind you down, meant to take a long time. There's multiple deadlines. It's just nonsense. And so that's one of the things that's refreshing about Bill Slate is they have committed to bylaw changes that would lasting and permanent in the sense that the next administration couldn't just come in and overturn it. It would require the membership to do so. And a lot of it gives the power back to the membership and makes it easier to hold the officers accountable. But there's a lot of it that also frees the membership and the officers to be able to do certain things that they just can't do today. So I've endorsed Bill publicly, and I'll endorse this slate again right now. And I'm also going to be endorsing Mark Moore as trustee. I think he's a good choice, and if you guys are open to it, if not this time, then next time we can have a discussion as to why. And then there's also 2 other people we're recommending as trustees, and that's into that later. I want to see if we can get him on here, as well as Andrew Roble. He's been vocal in the group, and he's been vocal in the union world generally. So if there's nothing else, if nobody else wants to jump on, I guess we can end it here. I did say 8 to noon, but I don't want to just sit here and talk. Leave that to the Joes of the world. But yeah, I appreciate you all being here, and I just hope that we can come together as a membership and make some real good changes that are big and lasting. Okay. Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the comments, questions. Thanks for joining us, Randy. Next time, I'd be glad to have you jump in. I know you're multitasking, but I appreciate it. Yep. Have a good rest of your Saturday, everybody. This has been excellent, and I'm glad you're all here. We're all going to build a good union together. Okay. I think you all made my weekend by being here, and including not just the members but the candidates. So thank you all.